I know I've been mentally depressed before. I know I've been mentally deranged before. But what I'm saying is, I don't know, and I don't think it should be enough to take a fellow human's life.
Then killed with a gun that was purchased through a loophole in the Brady Bill. I mean, how could I not act on that? I mean, that was very prophetic.
Hi guys, welcome back again to the channel. Today we have an amazing video to check out together. If you're new here, please make sure you like, subscribe. The channel also have a membership platform. Please be part of our member.
People are getting shot all around me.
Hundreds of students ran for their lives.
We didn't think this would ever happen.
The shooting at an elementary school in Newtown, Virginia Tech.
Parkland, Columbine High School.
A total of 15 people.
33 dead.
20 children, 7 adults.
More than 204.
What?
When did this happen?
This is sad.
I've heard a lot about this in the US, but I never knew something like this has ever happened in the UK.
How mass shooting changed the UK gun laws forever?
In the UK.
Okay, let's go.
40,000 US students have experienced gun violence at school since Columbine in 1999. But in the UK, it's a different story. Private ownership of all handguns and semi-automatic rifles is banned, a concept unimaginable in America. But how have these two inextricably linked nations ended up with such vastly different attitudes on guns? And how did this massive change in the UK even happen? To understand, we have to go back to 1996, when the Dunblane massacre changed everything.
Grief, shock and disbelief in the Scottish town of Dunblane.
A former scout leader with a grudge.
It is a tragedy without precedent.
16 tiny children died right here at Dunblane Primary School. The massacre, carried out by a man who had licenses for his guns, was enough to change the UK's gun laws forever.
What's truly amazing is that by the end of the next year, it became illegal to own a handgun in the UK.
But how did the UK get to that point so fast? It was mainly due to the activism from those personally affected by the attack.
My daughter Sophie was one of the 16 young children who were shot dead at Dunblane Primary School. She and I were on our own. She was my only child.
Dr. Mick North was an academic before the shooting, but after, he found it impossible to return to that life. So he devoted himself to making sure other parents never had to experience his agony by becoming a gun control activist.
Hi. One of my initial reactions after Dunblane was a feeling that this should never have happened because the guns that the perpetrator used have been too easy to come by.
Dr. North combined forces with other people who were touched by Dunblane, like former Scottish Labour MP Richard Simpson.
Now, he was a doctor at the local hospital at the time, but then after that experience, he changed his entire career, became a Labour MP, and helped to lead the motion to change the gun laws in the UK.
What I discovered was that the then Conservative government was in the process of actually seeking to deregulate the process by which guns were regulated in the United Kingdom. And that really made me very annoyed.
These two men were part of a movement fighting to be heard by politicians. Residents of Dunblane and relatives of victims started speaking out and organising public relations campaigns and creating petitions.
Politicians weren't necessarily used to hearing from the victims of shooting incidents.
Everyone who says, I enjoy the sport, I want to hold the gun in my hand and have the live ammunition. What I say is, you have those emotions for enjoying your sport, but feel the emotions of a parent who is never going to see their child again.
There was a massive groundswell, a bit like the climate extinction movement now. It wasn't highly coordinated or paid for.
So we had a petition called the Snowdrop Petition, which was getting the public to sign up for a ban on handguns, eventually gaining over 700,000 signatures. Within 2 years, a total ban on handguns had been introduced in this country.
By 1999, over 165,000 guns and over 700 tons of ammo had been surrendered.
There was a lot of opposition to it, and it was suggested that it would actually badly affect people who used guns for sport, but it hasn't done so.
What we did was a major achievement, and I'm very satisfied with what we were able to do.
Dunblane happened, the gun laws were overhauled before Columbine even happened 2 years earlier. It's like the precedent was set, we knew what was starting to happen across the world.
And 2 years later, on April 20th, 1999, 2 teenagers shot and killed 12 fellow students and a teacher at Columbine High School near Denver, Colorado.
What is the US, Colorado?
First of all, I want to understand. You see, sorry for me to say this, I still don't understand the mindset of people that go around, unaliving other people. I still don't understand that concept. No matter how angry I am at you, I don't think it is that enough.
They're actually killing people they don't even know. You're angry at the system and you just feel like you can attack.
Most of these people, right, when they talk to them, they feel like the reason they kill kids because the world is a messed up place, and they feel like for those kids to experience it, that they're doing the kids a favor by taking their life away, so they won't actually experience the pain of the world. So like that's the mindset those people walk around with, and I feel most people you see on the streets are not actually normal. Most people have mental illness that we don't actually know. So the fact that they have access to gun, that's the real problem.
The world needs to do better. To be frank, forget about mental issues or not. I'm not saying, don't get my words
It does
wrong.
not justify any of those things.
I'm not saying that I don't sympathize with those with mental issues, nor do I say I don't. I understand their situation. I don't really understand. I know I've been mentally depressed before. I know I've been mentally deranged before. But what I'm saying is I don't know, and I don't think it should be enough to take a fellow human's life. That is just my opinion. I'm not in any way saying that I don't understand or I do understand better the situation you guys go through. But please, either seek help. There is no help you can get from cutting a child's. Honestly, just hearing the word a child, like what has this child? This child barely knows the right to the left. This child has so many things ahead of him or her. The futures, the dreams, the purpose. Please.
Oh, gosh. It's just so hard to take in.
I'm so sorry for the pause.
Just like Dunblane did in the UK, Columbine shocked Americans. It wasn't the first school shooting in the US, but those images captured on live TV set something off that had ripple effects throughout.
They actually put an end to gun control. Like they need to put a strict law about, because it's actually always recurring. Like each year you just hear news about it on and on. Like a plague to the country. Like, why can't they stop? Because it only took one shooting in the UK, you understand, for them to end it, to retrieve these guns from people's hands.
I think Australia was two mass shooting that actually happened, that they actually put an end to the whole having access to gun.
The thing here is this, right? The honest truth is, I feel like those, in that particular sense, they are kind of like split in their decision, in the sense that some are for suspending it, while some are for it is infringing on our freedom of speech. But this is not just about freedom. It's about lives.
No, I think
at the end of the day, it's about human lives.
They really need to remove that thing from people's hands, because it's deadly, to be honest.
I get the whole having gun for your own safety, your own protection, that if somebody will come.
But they're using it for wrong cause.
But the rate of robbery as it is right now is even high because everybody has gun. Like there's some places in the US you cannot work at night because you don't know who's going to stop you, and the person is armed. They're also armed, but like the murder rate has increased a lot, drastically a lot. So I think the good it's serving is less than the bad is
higher than the good.
So at that point, like there's no purpose of keeping it in society. That's how I feel.
Throughout the country, and just like in Dunblane, no one was closer to the situation than the victims' parents.
I'm the father of Daniel Mauser. He was one of the students killed at Columbine High School. He was 15 years old.
Like Mick North before him, Tom devoted his life to fighting for gun control, even taking a year off from work to lobby at the state capitol.
Just 2 weeks before Columbine, at the dinner table, Daniel asked me a question based on a conversation that he had with other members of the debate team. He said, "Dad, did you know there were loopholes in the Brady Bill?" Brady Bill is a national law that requires background checks to purchase a gun. And I just kind of blew it off. He was then killed with a gun that was purchased through a loophole in the Brady Bill. I mean, how could I not act on that? I mean, that was very prophetic. And it made me realize that when we have loopholes like that, when we have so much carnage in this country, we have to do something about it. I became very vocal, active.
And Tom did make some very real progress on a state level soon after, helping to introduce a bill to close the same gun show loophole he and Daniel had discussed over dinner. In 2000, the public voted and passed Colorado's answer to the Brady Bill by an overwhelming majority of about 70%.
I felt that I did something to honor Daniel. I did something in response to something he brought up to me.
But this small victory at the state level in Colorado was overshadowed by strong national backlash against gun safety laws. Barely a year after Columbine, then NRA President Charlton Heston gave this famous threat.
"From my cold, dead hands."
In America, we are so wrapped up in individualism and rights that we say, well, no, we can't do that because that might possibly affect my rights. And for a lot of people, that's more important than what could possibly happen to them or their neighbors. It's a cultural issue that is very starkly different between us and other nations. I think it's shameful in the U.S. that we have failed to really react in any significant way.
Since Columbine, the narrative in the US around gun rights and gun control has only become more polarizing.
Restricting law-abiding Americans from acquiring guns is obviously unconstitutional.
Is it time to repeal the Second Amendment?
The left has their rigid, radical, anti-gun agenda.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47.
In the US, barely any federal gun control laws have passed since Columbine. In fact, experts say the most significant change in gun law is when politicians let a Clinton-era assault weapons ban expire in 2004, making assault weapons like AR-15s legal again. Since then, the AR-15 has been used in almost every notable mass shooting in America, and the problem continues to get worse. The US has more firearms per person than any other country in the world, and it's the only country in the world that has more guns than people. And the US gun homicide rate is 25 times that of other high-income countries, including the UK.
The main problem is not necessarily the Second Amendment, but how that has been interpreted.
In America, there needs to be an understanding of how to tighten the law without grossly infringing on what are perceived of as rights under the Second Amendment.
But it does seem ridiculous to use the words of the Founding Fathers to decide how you control or don't control weapons that are usually used in war zones.
There have been so many mass shootings since Columbine that many Americans feel hopeless about reform. The fact remains, however, that 61% of Americans do support stricter gun laws. And there are many potential changes, such as closing the gun show loophole or restricting assault weapons, that would make a huge impact and would not go as far as a total ban on firearms.
It takes a long time sometimes. It's not just changing the laws. You also have to change culture to get people to be willing to change the laws.
And perhaps there'll come a time when enough people vote in politicians who will be supportive of the gun control measures that America needs and deserves.
No one has kids so they can buy them bulletproof backpacks. You have kids so that they can hopefully thrive in a better world than you did. We really have to ask ourselves if we're giving them that opportunity.
You know, this is a really heavy word to digest, and if we're not taking it serious now, when will we When are we going to take it serious? Is it when it's all too late? You know, and just like the father of that 15-year-old was saying, he said he never took the question his son asked him serious until it hit close to home. I don't think we should wait for it to hit close to home before we react or act on it. And I'm sorry if what we're saying, some of you might see it as, infringing on your freedom or rights or anything. I feel like our priority here mostly is on the side of humanity, the side of human lives. And every other thing comes second. To me, every other thing comes second.
According to what you said, the man will actually paraphrase it or rephrase it, saying they will actually complain of the human right and everything, but this thing takes lives of people.
Yeah.
A lot of life.
And when I was just watching this video, something just came to my mind. It actually puts the life of the police officers too. But most times in our country, when police approach you, the police will not tell you to put your hand on the dash. Because even though your hand is down, it knows you don't have any weapon that you can try. So that's the reason, one of the reasons police actually kill some innocent people, because at their own safety, because you don't know what that person is going for. You understand? So it's at large. I don't see a lot of disadvantage
to it
than the advantage.
And the truth of it is, I feel like it has not, the gun control over the US. It has not really hit home to people that has power. I think that's why they are being so lenient about the whole thing. Because imagine those mothers, those fathers that have cried over their child that is not even supposed to die at any time soon. Do you get? And they're actually calling for justice, calling for this thing to be taken from people's hand, because at this point you can't even differentiate who is bad and who is good with weapon on. Do you get? So now those people, like, they are advocating, they are fighting so hard, but it feels like their cry is not even being heard by the politicians or the people in power to revert the whole situation.
I was sorry for cutting short. I was watching a video the other day, and I think this was Chicago, and they analyzed that 600 people were unalive in the span of 2 weeks. 600 people were unalive. That's like, I don't know how to describe that, but I felt the type of listening to that.
Within 14 days.
Because of they had access to guns, like. So tell me, what is the purpose of it to the society? Like, what's the healthy purpose of it if people just have gun, abuse the power of it?
Because even the statistics they show, the gun rate, the murder in the US is higher than every other.
If they to combine other countries together, it's still not up to the US. That's what's funny.
No, they need to take strict rules, and I'm so proud. I'm so happy for the
UK.
For the UK. Like, they didn't even allow it to happen 2 times, 3 times. They took necessary action, and
the one advice I feel like I should give schools, pending when the changes will come, because like I always know, changes don't just come overnight. I feel like the schools should also, put extra security to protect the lives of those kids that go to school every morning, that have the bright future and everything like that. You understand? While we're waiting for the world to catch up to their humanity, we should do everything possible to protect our kids, their future, their purpose, their destinies and everything. We need to do everything within our strength to protect it.
Please let us know what you think about this down below. Do not forget to like, subscribe. The channel also have a membership platform. Please be part of the member. To be honest, my heart currently is like very heavy, like really, really heavy. It's really sad. We'll see you guys in our next one.